Welcome to another Auto Spec Renew video. We are back with Moggy!
Hello!
And
back
this
again.
Crazy bug. So, well, should I even call this a bug?
It's the shape of a Beetle. Yeah. It's a stock Beetle. I don't know what you're talking about, Jerome.
Yeah,
it's just completely stock. Yeah, it's finally got its makeup on, look. It's not white anymore.
Alright. What is this then?
Well, so I'm an I don't mean I still am, a mad VW nut. One of my favourite liveries of drag racing bugs back in the day was a drag racing car called Inch Pincher 2. And this is a homage to Inch Pincher 2. Similar sort of design, it's like more like Inch Pincher 3 now, maybe.
Alright. Okay, now let's talk numbers, let's talk power. Because power, this thing has a lot of...
Yeah, definitely got a bit more power than the Beetle, that's for sure. So what have we done in it so far? Well, the ultimate drivetrain that's going in this is a Tesla Plaid. So we've set it up to have a Tesla Plaid system, front motor, rear motor, which is 1,000 horsepower obviously, but it weighs half the weight of a Tesla Plaid. So fingers crossed it should be a little bit quicker than a Tesla Plaid, although it has the aerodynamics of a garden shed still, so I don't know. We'll find out. And obviously one of the biggest things we've had to sort out is aerodynamics of the rear, because a Beetle shape is kind of like a wing. So without this, it wants to take off. And we've done some aerodynamics in wind tunnels, and we found that at 120, 130 miles an hour, there's let me get this right. So at 100 miles an hour, there's 120 kilos of lift on the back of a Beetle.
So you need to at least compensate.
So what we've done is we've got a solution which we think is going to be 200 kilos of downforce at 120 miles an hour.
All right.
And that's to do with the rear wing here. So you got the rear wing, it's a double rear wing, obviously. And then here down there is a diffuser. So here is your rear diffuser. It's flat floor, obviously. So you'll have all that lovely air coming underneath on the flat floor. And then you've got the diffuser, which is pulling the car down. So this combined with that should give us a nice bit of downforce on the rear. We reckon around about 200 kilos. And on the front now, mind your head, on the front is our next aerodynamic challenge. We've got to figure out how big the front splitter needs to be to be able to match the downforce of the rear. So we're going to have to extend this out and have it like caged in a little bit so that air can't go around. So imagine this, but out here somewhere. The downforce of the front needs to match the rear. So if it doesn't happen, what you'll have is too much downforce on the back, and you'll lift up the fronts, and the front steering a little bit too light. So that's the next challenge. So I'm starting aerodynamically from the back, moving our way forward. So but to do that, we've got to do a bit of CFD, like computer aided aerodynamics, if you like. So we're going to 3D model it all, 3D scan it, and then put it into the computer software to figure out how big does the splitter needs to be.
So Richard, with the new drivetrain, what type of wheels and brakes did you use?
So wheels, actually we made some custom wheels. So these are actually kind of a recreation, if you like, of the original Fuchs horse wheels, but they've been custom made for us. And also to be able to get the big brakes underneath, I wanted some 18-inch wheels. So that's the wheels. But also we've got our sponsors here as well. So we've got Mauser Electronics as our sponsor. We actually buy a lot of stuff from them as far as our EV conversion components are concerned. So I'm really happy to say that Mauser Electronics are our sponsors, and also some of these others here are, any EV converters out there, they'll know Phoenix Contact, Molex, etc. So we've got a fantastic array of sponsors as well for Bug Zapper as well.
And of course, this is called the Bug Zapper.
Bug Zapper, after the famous Frank Zapper, but also Beetle, obviously. I thought, it was a toss-up between Bug Zapper. What was the other one? Tim, what was the other name? Bug Zapper and what was it? It was a toss-up, wasn't it? We were trying to think of for names. We came up with loads of names.
We did come up with loads of names.
I can't remember, but we put it out to our YouTube channel and said, which one would you want? And Bug Zapper was the winner. So we let the public decide.
Quite a challenge, but it's nothing compared to actually making the Tesla Model S Plaid drivetrain in this bug, because obviously underneath the skin there's not much left of the bug.
No. I mean, the other thing that we've also got to take into account is in Pikes Peak, which is what this car is built for. we've got to take into account how thin the air is. Now, with internal combustion engines, they're worried about how much power you're going to lose because of it's really thin air up there. But in EV land, thin air means less cooling efficiency. So we've got to really up our game as far as battery and inverter and motor cooling is concerned. So that's why on the roof here you can see the scoop. So you've got air coming in here, and also air coming in on the tops of the wings. That's all going into an air box. You can see the aluminium air scoop and box down there. That's all going into a radiator at the back down here, which you can see, and that's got a big radiator to cool everything down as far as the motor and inverter is concerned. So we're really upscaling the cooling side of things on this car to hopefully scale it right for Pikes Peak, but we won't know until we get there.
You had quite a few challenges, so let us know about it.
Yeah, well, as much as I like my Beetles, there's nowhere to put radiators. So, you know, a Beetle is an air-cooled engine, so there's no big grill at the front for a radiator. So we had to figure out how we're going to get enough cooling for things like the battery management system. So you got a radiator here, and then that air that's going in there has to exit somewhere. So now we've got, like a Lotus Elise has, the air exiting here. It's not quite finished yet, but we've got to do the ducting internally to make sure all this air comes out. And then at the rear, we've got another radiator, and again, you know, we've had to figure out how we're going to get air into that. Well, you've got a roof scoop here, and more down on the rear wings, and then obviously you've got to exit that as well, so that's got to exit there. So there's the big radiator at the back there. So some modifications that you wouldn't normally see on a air-cooled Beetle, let's say, just to get some radiators on it.
Did you have to use a special inverter, considering all the heat issue in particular?
No, I mean, we've done some mods to the motor to try to make it as efficient as possible. I mean, you can split the inverter cooling and the motor cooling out a little bit, so we've done some clever stuff like that. But again, it's all theoretical until it becomes reality.
Yeah.
So you can do as much like theoretical practice stuff, but until you get there, you don't know. That's why we're doing Pikes Peak for 3 years continuous. We're going to do first year, figure out what we can improve for the second year, and then second year turns into the third year, and hopefully by the third year we'll know kind of what we're doing.
All right, let's talk about the battery pack, or packs, should I say, and challenging
pack-wise,
in packaging it all.
3 battery packs in here. So if I open up this, we've got two either side. So it's a single mount, a center mount driving position. We've got a battery pack here, the other side, and one behind, so nice and central. So as far as weight distribution is concerned and handling, it's pretty good. What's in there? You got a 6S LG Chem configuration in there, which are nice high C rated batteries. Yeah. 400 volts, 400 volts, 400 volts. So whenever you got 3 packs in parallel, or 3 modules in parallel, if you like, it's like 3 men carrying a heavy log, if you like. You're sharing the load. So you start with a high C rated module anyway. Okay. And then you got 3 of them in parallel. Then the amps, the volt sag, when you want to pull like 1800 amps out of the packs, you've got your best chance of minimal voltage sag, because obviously power is volts times amps. You don't really want the voltage sagging too much. So in a Model S, you get a lot of voltage sag. Okay. And then a Plaid, it's a 460 volt maximum. So a normal Tesla Model S performance is at 400 volts, okay, maximum around, but Plaid is actually I think it's 460. So this, the more you can spread the load of the amps being taken out by the motors, the better. Yeah. And then I've got a T2C system in there, which we're working with Chris over at EV Controls on. In fact, if I go around, I'll switch it on. I'll take this off so you can see it a bit more clearly. That helps me get in and out because I'm that old. So on here's the T2C dashboard, so that's an iPad mini, and in there we can play around with some things, like if I wanted to go and put it into, say, rear wheel drive mode, for instance, which I can do for. That sounds interesting. You'll see more at Carfest. I don't know if you go down to Carfest, but I'll be on track there, entertaining the crowds. And that's should we try I'll be using this handbrake a little bit?
Can you go the rear wheels go forward and the front wheels go
go back.
At the same time.
Jerome, I can do anything, right? But that'll be
serious.
a little bit of inverter phase swapping around and then encoder wire swapping around. But yeah, I can do that. Yeah. But I can put it in front wheel drive mode, rear wheel drive mode, 4-wheel drive mode, traction control on, off. I can do loads of stuff here, which is pretty cool. But in rear wheel drive mode and with this here, you know, I can do some pretty cool drifting, ruin some tyres. But also I've got things like sensitivity or assist of the power steering. So it's got electric power steering in it. So I can put that way up for, say, drifting, where you just really want to spin that wheel nicely, but where you want the feel of the track a little bit more, I can switch that down, and then that becomes speed and torque sensitive rather than just all the way up to max. And then I've got all my battery management system stuff on here, temperature of the battery, which I thought I'd better put that as a big gauge so I can see it, and then some you know, regulation based stuff like electric cutoff, fire extinguisher system, which is required for the regulations for racing in Pikes Peak.
How do you train for Pikes Peak? How do you test the car? There's nothing like the same thing in the UK, or
No.
maybe not in Europe even.
No, so this is the challenge. I mean, we can theoretically try to set up everything for Pikes Peak, but until you're there, you don't know. And even on the like when you're there, you don't get to race the whole from start to finish until race day.
Okay.
You have practice, lower section, upper section, etc., but you don't actually do the whole lot until it's actually race day.
Okay.
So we're going to do as much testing as we can. So we're doing things like drag racing to see what maximum like load for a full 10 seconds is like. Go around again, do it again.
Right
go
away.
around again, do it again. So we're doing load testing like that. And that's finishing in 2 weeks' time. So we'll stop doing the drag racing type stuff. And then we're going to turn our focus to track-based testing. So we're going to go to a place like Alton Park, for instance. And again, there we're just going to go rag around the track for just as many laps as we can, and just see, well, how the handling is and setup and all the basic race car setup stuff like that. But at the same time, see how the thermal management system is coping in the batteries and the motors and inverters. But you know, again, we're not travelling a mile vertically like in Pikes Peak, but it's as good as we can do it, especially because it's going to be summertime now. Whereas Pikes Peak, okay, it's in June, but
It's still cold, relatively cold.
it's relatively close, especially at the top.
So who's driving this up the hill?
I can't mention it yet, but we have a French driver who's a current record holder.
Nice.
That's all I can say at the moment
nice.
until we can mention it properly.
Okay.
Announce it, if you like.
What's the strategy for Pikes Peak as far as recharging the batteries?
That's a good question. So, obviously, Pikes Peak in Colorado, I think it's Colorado, is in the middle of nowhere. There's no charging points in the trees, so you can't just plug into a tree. That would be a good idea, isn't it? So we've got a company that is supplying us with a containerized battery pack. So off the back of a lorry, or a semi as you call it in America, they're going to be dumping a big, massive, huge battery pack there. And this is how VWIDR and the other electric guys do it. That essentially has a huge amount of kilowatt hours there, and will cover us for the weekend, or the whole week.
Yeah.
So that's the company that we use in there. They just dump it there on whatever day and pick it up, like, you know, on the Sunday or whatever. And yeah, when we get down, so after the practice runs, we can charge it up there. Don't forget, we can put it in regen on the way down. So after the practice runs, we can recoup a little bit of it, but not all of it, obviously.
All right, and you said for the next 3 years you will be at Pikes Peak. What's going to happen to the car in between? Is there any other opportunities to race it on flat tracks? Or?
Yes,
Yeah.
we're talking to a number of different events around Europe at the moment, where we can hopefully take it to do, you know, demonstration type events, but also see if we can have some test and tune days there as well.
Right.
And again, I can't mention any names of which tracks because it's all in discussions at the moment. But there's some pretty cool tracks out there in, you know, places like Belgium and Europe, where we're in discussions to go over there for a big event that they do and do a demonstration lap and maybe have some test time there.
Excellent,
which will be cool.
Excellent.
But again, I'm not I'll probably be driving it, things like that. But for Pikes Peak, I'm, let's say, the backup driver, number 3 backup driver, because I really okay, I can drive, and you know, but I don't know the track. That's the main thing. You've got to know Pikes Peak to get good times. But I'd really I'm at the age now, Jerome, where I actually enjoy the backseat sort of stuff, doing the data analytics and the login and having a look how we can improve it and tuning things. I enjoy that. So I don't have the stress of having to, also learn the track and do the racing, which is what I used to do in the rallying. I used to make my own race engines, prep the car, do all the organisation of the events, do the racing. It was fun, but I was younger then. I don't want that stress again. So.
Well, to be fair, you still have 11 months before Pikes Peak, so maybe if you want to go and recon the track, you could check it out. And
I'd probably do it on a PlayStation or something like that, maybe.
All right, fantastic. We wish you the best. And guys, if you like what you saw today, you want to learn more about Moggy's builds, there are several other videos about his builds, his cars, his shop. If you like what you saw today, let us know in the comments below. And guys, we'll see you in the next one.